Hey everybody, it is the 3rd of July 2022, 8 a.m. New Zealand time, and this is the NZ Travel Show.
Alright, so this is Robin and I'm Laura, and we're the team behind NZPocketGuide.com, which is New Zealand's largest travel guide, because it literally has thousands and thousands of articles to help you plan the perfect trip to New Zealand. Now is the perfect time to plan a perfect trip to New Zealand, since the borders will be fully reopened to everybody by the end of the month, which is so exciting. Just one more month to wait for the borders to be open for everybody, if it's not already open for you already, because people from visa waiver travel countries can come to New Zealand already, so that's pretty exciting news. So here on the NZ Travel Show, we take all your questions about traveling in New Zealand on the live chat. We go through every single comment, so if you do have any questions, don't be afraid to ask, and we'll go through everything. But if you do miss the live show, you can always put your questions in the comment section of any of our YouTube videos, and one of us will be kind enough to reply to your questions. So yeah, let's get to it.
All right, so it starts with Violet Zulu all the way from South Africa. She says, good morning. She was here really, really early, so I like it.
She said she was waiting patiently.
Yeah, I
so
know.
Thanks for being patient with us.
Chris and Claire, which are two of our lovely patrons, says, Kia ora, Laura and Robin, greetings from Melbourne. And they're yawning a little bit. They say they have blurry-eyed and trying to think of questions to ask. I think it's going to take them about 15 minutes of us bantering a little bit until they get the brain back up and running. So
that's all
here
right.
You go. What is Rafa Cat saying?
Rafa Cat says, good morning all from sunny Leeds, UK. Ooh, very jealous that it's sunny where
sunny
you
in the
are.
UK? No, you must be mistaking, sir.
Yeah, it's been some of the coldest days so far in the year here in New Zealand. It's been very, very chilly. But it's winter. It's expected. It's all good. Tamo says, Kia ora, Laura and Robin. If food budget is set below 50, then guess you have to be a great cook.
I thought about it. So Tamo is referencing the poll of the day. So we're just going to talk quickly about the poll of the day. Question of the day. Question of the day. All right, guys, the question of the day today is, what is your budgeted amount of money that you want to spend on food in New Zealand during your trip per person and per day? So do you want to spend under $50 per person per day when traveling in New Zealand? You want to spend between $50 and $100 or over $100? Today I'm going to close this poll a little bit earlier because I'm going to dive a bit more in depth into what kind of cost you can expect around, so see if you did vote correctly or not. So make sure you vote in there because we're going to literally go over costs and everything after that together, so that'll be quite interesting. So go ahead in the poll and vote in. Meantime, Laura is going to go and read what Adil is saying in two parts.
Okay, so Adil says, Kia ora, Robin and Laura. I missed the live show last week, but I did watch the recording. One thing that was mentioned, which I found really interesting, is that shops close early in New Zealand. I would like to know, 1, why is this? 2, if anyone wants to remain open till late, do the authorities stop them?
Number 2, no. You're more than welcome to stay open late. There is no regulation on that. There are some regulation in some shops that can't open during public holidays and this and that. There is some regulation on how much you need to pay your staff. But no, they can literally open late if they want to. To answer number 1, why is this? It's a bit more of a complex question, but most of it have to do with kind of the lifestyle. New Zealand is very much a lifestyle-focused country. And even if you are running a cafe, you don't necessarily want to wake up really early in the morning, so you can decide to open your cafe at 11 a.m. Because nobody wants coffee in the morning. That's the discussion we had yesterday with some of our friends. There's a local cafe where they live that literally opened at 11 a.m. What is the point? I don't know.
That's definitely not the common thing.
No,
though.
it's not
Cafes
a common thing, but I find that crazy.
Cafes are usually open like around 7 a.m. in New Zealand. Like
maybe 8 sometimes, like breakfast places. Like for example, one of the places we're going to be looking at when you're going to look at the cost of food, they're open for breakfast at 8:30 in the morning. So
yeah. So it's a bit. It depends where you are, and also in cities, I think cafes are the first to open in the morning, so they'll open a little bit earlier. But yeah, between 7 and 8:30 a.m. is kind of when cafes open. But yeah, continue.
All right. So then we have Tamo. No, we already done all that. Sorry. We have Sam Sim. Sam Sim in here. I think Sam Sim's from Australia. That's been a while. Sam Sim says, "Hello guys, kia ora."
Kia ora.
Nathan says, "Kia ora everyone," all the way from exotic Taupo, New Zealand. Clay is also pitching in for the question of the day for budget. So Clay is a local from Dunedin. He says, under $50 per day, you must be eating just scrogging. What is scrogging, Laura? What is scrogging?
Scrogging is kind of like it's like a trail mix. It's like a mix of
Squirrel food.
Nuts and dried fruit, I think would be most appropriate to describe that.
So as per his calculation, 2 pies, 1 BLT, which is bacon, lettuce, and tomato, a Sammy sandwich. I'm translating everything, mate, for all our international audience.
Translating from pure Kiwi to
plain English.
Plain English.
Okay,
yeah.
so BLT Sammy is bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwiches. That's what they say. And a decent beer and $50 is gone. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I hope that more people are going to be voting more than $50 because otherwise, anyone that votes at $50 is basically going to be sorely disappointed when they're going to be looking at the cost of food. So and that's the thing as well. That's something that we like to do, not disappoint people, but something that we like to do on this channel. We like to kind of set expectation right of people, and I think with that question, I think we will be able to set your expectation correctly, because sometimes you kind of think you can do everything on the cheap and don't necessarily able to do that. Anthony Comstock says Moreno from Rodeo, California. Sorry, I'm late.
He's late, yeah.
Oh, I mean, 5 minutes late.
You're good, usually he's one of the first to comment, but that's okay, Anthony. We're always glad that you make it every single time. We did miss a comment from Chris saying, "Hi, Robin. I've always thought England has only 2 seasons, July and winter."
Oh yeah, and it's just different shades of grey skies anyway. It's
and different amounts of drizzle. Usually, there's light drizzle, there's heavier drizzle, and then goes back to light drizzle.
And as we're dissing the UK, Helen Wilkinson is showing up saying, "Good evening, Robin and Laura from England."
Yeah, good to
have you
here.
Just close your ears for like 5 minutes when we diss the UK, and then we'll move back on. Okay, so for those that just come back, so again, we're gonna be doing the question of the day quite heavily today because I did prepare talking about it afterwards. So again, the question of the day today is in the poll right now. What is your budget per person per day for food in New Zealand? Make sure you vote. We already have 13 votes. Make sure there's 20 of you guys viewing right now. Make sure you go in the vote and you vote because we'll be able to pull all that at the end of the video and go over some costs and everything and see if you have a reasonable expectations on how much to spend on food. Okay, what is Chris saying?
Chris says, since I'm visiting most of the main places in New Zealand later this year, are there any New Zealand food that I must not miss while there?
Well, you're traveling with 2 kids. So just for context, everybody, Chris and his wife, Claire, I hope it's your wife, I guess
partner
it's your wife.
In crime.
Partner in crime, here you go. So I'm making an assumption right here.
Yeah.
But Chris and his partner in crime, Claire, are 2 of our Patreons, and so we're helping them with their itinerary. That's part of the thing that we provide as to our Patreons. And they're traveling with 2 little ones. So since they're traveling with 2 kids, the first thing that we're going to say you cannot miss is ice creams. There's a wide variety of ice cream in New Zealand, which are really awesome. Obviously, real fruit ice creams that you can get from the side of the roads. The roadsides are really, really awesome. When you drive around the farm fields around New Zealand, because most of New Zealand is farms, you will see like signs for real fruit ice cream, strawberry and this and that. You absolutely have to stop and try those. I absolutely love it and I never miss any. Another ice cream you may want to try is Hoki Poki. It's kind of like the typical kind of New Zealand ice cream. It's basically vanilla ice cream with marbles of honey in there and crunchy bit of honey as well. It is really nice. That's the second ice cream I will absolutely try. We also have a friend in Taupo that make her own ice cream and they're delicious, but you won't be able to try that because
I don't think she's selling.
No, she's not selling them, but damn, they're good.
Yeah.
I just had ice cream yesterday, and I had chai ice cream actually, and that was an interesting flavor. It tasted like vanilla, but that was damn delicious.
Yeah.
All right, what other food do you think I should try?
I think like an easy one to go for that you'll find everywhere, because there's also the things where you need to weigh up like what are you actually going to be able to find and experience compared to what you won't be able to. And I think an easy one to find is L&P, which is New Zealand's sort of national soft drink. So, you know, if you're having to, you know, stop for dinner somewhere, and you might as well just try L&P once, just because it is quite, obviously when you're coming from overseas, it's quite the novelty to have here. But once you've been here for a while, it's like L&P is like kind of very, very like common, and you have it a lot. Well, maybe you don't have it a lot if you're not into soft drinks, but yeah. But L&P, I think it was definitely one of the first sort of New Zealand things that I tried when I first came to New Zealand. So, and it's very easy to find.
It looks like I made a mistake, by the way. It's not the same Chris. So it looks like it's not his wife or
Oh,
partner.
okay.
So you're not the Chris person which has a wife or partner called Claire, which has joined on Patreon 2 weeks ago. You're not that person. Apologies for that. I made a completely wrong assumption. Maybe you're not traveling with kids. You can still enjoy ice cream. Any other food that you were about to mention?
I would also say, like, it definitely pick up some bars of Whittaker's chocolate. Usually a lot of people tend to grab a bunch for taking back home with them as gifts, because they're like, you know, it's like an easy, quick gift, so give to people. But they are really delicious chocolate bars in New Zealand.
Fish and chips is always super fresh and absolutely delicious. I think you absolutely need to stop at an old a raggedy shack that says fish and chips on it, and usually you'll be surprised by how amazing.
Very fresh fish and chips.
Yeah,
like
very
that's
fresh
the
fish
key
and
with
chips,
New Zealand is that like the fish is always
really
super
nice.
fresh.
So you've got to try some fish and
If
chips
you're on the
New
coast.
Zealand.
Maybe not in the center of New Zealand.
New
but-
Zealand pretty much only has coasts. So no, you will. Anything else?
If you do get the chance, if you are going to maybe a Maori evening show or going to some sort of, you know, like Maori tourist attraction, then trying a hangi is definitely a highlight in terms of food. But it's obviously a very specific activity. You won't be able to just find hangi, you know, as you're driving around. So if you are going to like a Maori evening show, there's sometimes like the odd thing at the markets or an odd sort of dinner, an odd sort of takeaway, like maybe in Rotorua that's specializing in hangi food. But it's usually quite hard to find. But if you do get the opportunity, definitely take it up, because hangi is definitely worth trying.
Yes, and if you see kiwi burger, it has beetroots and eggs in it. So it's up to you if you want to try it. But if you say it's kiwi burger, just know it includes beetroots and eggs. So here you go. Rafa Cat is asking, what time do restaurant and takeaway close in New Zealand? So removing the bigger city like Auckland and Wellington, usually they will kind of close between 9 and 10, and usually going to stop serving food between 8:30 and 9:30. That's usually kind of what our experience will be. In cities, and again, there's only a handful of cities in New Zealand, they may be open a little bit later, but definitely it is much earlier than what other countries are usually used to. What is Emil having to say, Laura?
Emil says, "Hello from South Africa. Immigrating to Auckland will be there in the next 2 months. Wife and kids joining in December. Very exciting.
Nice. You're gonna have a blast in New Zealand, mate. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Make sure you explore the country. So we're more a bit of a travel channel here. So make sure that you explore New Zealand. You really have fun as well. You know, immigrating is also all about discovering a new culture and a new place. It's not just all about work, and paperwork." All right, so Clay say under $50 a day, easily done with Marmite, a daily bread, Weet-Bix, baked bean spaghetti, 2-minute noodle, and powdered orange juice. I just hope the travel doesn't have much hike or exercise. You'll fade. This is the absolutely worst diet I could ever think of in my
Especially
entire
the
life.
powdered orange juice.
This just, I mean, you have horrified me.
I have
Congratulations.
seen
That
those
is-
powdered orange juices in
that is shocking.
the supermarket called like Raro orange juice,
yeah.
and I always dread to think what is going on inside there. But I think they actually give you that powdered orange juice when you're doing tours with like blackwater rafting in Waitomo, for instance, when you're going into the caves and they need to give you like a hot drink or hot flask of something. I'm pretty sure what they give you is that powdered orange juice, because like when you have it just kind of like attacks your palate straight away, but at the same time you're not complaining. And sometimes they pour it down the back of your wetsuit. That is like a key thing that happens, is like a key thing. Who cares about the glowworms? Who cares about the limestone formations? When they put that hot orange juice down the back of your wetsuit while you're in the cold in the middle of a cave, there's nothing more relaxing than that. Maybe a little bit sticky.
Nothing more relaxing.
Maybe a little
Nothing.
bit
Laura
sticky
said
after
it.
it.
Nothing. Nothing more relaxing.
And if you want more candid reviews of activities around New Zealand, don't be afraid to ask. I will highlight all those major little tidbits of each of the activities. Anyway, let's get back to the live chat so we stop talking
Yes.
nonsense. All right, we have Chris saying no. I'm the Chris who commented last week on my NZ tour in the comments.
Sorry for confusing you, mate. I
Whoopsie.
apologize for that. If you want to join us on Patreon, it's really fun. There is a link in the description, and we hang out together. We talk about itineraries and everything. It's a lot of fun, and there's really a lot of perks. But apologies for that. I do feel bad. I don't like misremembering people.
I think we have perhaps the username of the day coming up. We have Iguana Sloth.
Okay, let's stop everything, ladies and gentlemen. Iguana Sloth is in the house, and therefore, Iguana Sloth, you get the best username of the week. Here's your prize. Yeah, well done. You have the best username I have seen all week, so this prize has a monetary value of $0, so enjoy, keep it dear to your heart, congratulations, wear it with pride, and make sure to put it on your CV if you ever look for a job. It is a valuable entry to your curriculum vitae. What is Iguana Sloth saying?
Iguana Sloth says, where is the best place to eat lamb in New Zealand?
Ooh, a nice lamb shank. So to be quite, one thing that you need to know, right, is like New Zealand lamb is going to cost you more in New Zealand than it usually costs you overseas. I really, for some reasons, it does happen, but yeah. So New Zealand is a really big lamb country. So if you want a lamb shank or lamb lollipops, that's what they call it, with some mint sauce and everything. Many restaurants actually offer that on their menu. You probably will find that on any kind of pubs and everything like that. However, if you do go to, if you really want to treat yourself and get yourself like really amazing kind of meat in like meat specialty restaurants, there is something called the Botswana Butchery in Auckland, which is specializing in meat, and it's really good, and they do some really mean as meats over there, so that would be one of the places where we'll try that. There is also the Angus Steakhouse, which is also in Auckland. I will actually give it a shot there. It is also kind of a phenomenal place to actually have a meat. So that'd be the two one that comes to my personal mind. Laura, do you have anything else?
Well, I'd just like to point you in the direction of an article which would be just perfect for you on nzpocketguide.com, which is where to try traditional food in New Zealand. We do actually have like a category list of like the different sort of traditional foods and the best places to try them. So maybe I can tell you which category it is in, Robin.
No, that's okay. I have it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Cool. So what we have as recommendations here is the aptly named Pedro's House of Lamb in Christchurch.
The link is in the live chat right now for you, mate. So if you want to go in the chat, you will find the link for what Laura is talking about. But keep going.
Yeah. So, and also we have Roaring Meg's Restaurant, which is in Queenstown. We also have Salt on the Waterfront, which is in New Plymouth. We have also Emporium Eatery and Bar in Napier. And we also have Forster's Mahana in Nelson. And finally, Lake Taupo Lodge in Taupo.
And local recommendation from Clay in Dunedin. So he's one of our Patreon, and this one I know for sure. And he said that the Spites Ale House in Dunedin have lamb shanks as well.
Yeah, well, actually, Spates Ale House is a chain of like pubs and restaurants in the South Island in particular. So you will find them, for instance, in Queenstown. You'll find them in Wanaka, Dunedin, probably in Christchurch as well. But especially around the Otago region, you'll definitely find them in quite a few different places. And yeah, they do have. They're very good at their sort of like pub food ale house sort of things and really hearty meals, and definitely lamb shanks is part of that. So yeah, that's a good one.
All right, Oyol is here. He says, hola from Catalonia. Oyol, it's so cool to have you on board. So yeah, I'm stoked that you're here. I'm stoked you're going to be here for the Patreon live session. He was telling me that in the Facebook group. He was saying, finally I'm back. I love it. Okay, let's go back up. What did we miss? Okay, Adil is asking here over there.
Okay, Adil says, just one more question. I would like to know if people cycle for transportation purposes in New Zealand. I'm not talking about cycling in races or biking trails, just strictly for transport in everyday life.
Yeah, we do have some friends which actually cycle, like just commuting for work and everything. So yeah, it does happen. The Auckland city also have very extensive cycling
like cycle paths.
Psychopath. That's the you're a psychopath. So very extensive cycling path network around the city. So a lot of people are able to use cycling as a mean of commuting. Traveling around New Zealand, though, going from cities to city is not necessarily the best thing. So very, very, very rarely you'll see that doing. It's mostly like a tourist that has decided this is going to be on my bucket list in my life. I'm going to cycle every country in the world, blah blah blah, and I'll do that. So that's more the experience for cycling right here.
Chris
Tamos is talking about the Clay's diet and say don't try it, please don't.
I think
we love you, love you, we don't want you to hurt yourself, please don't do it. There is some help, please just give us a call.
I think it's like the fast track to diabetes diet that is. All right.
What is Chris saying?
Chris says, I'm visiting Auckland, Rotorua, Wellington, Picton, Christchurch, Omarama, Dunedin, Te Anau, Queenstown and Franz Joseph. And yes, I'm going to a hangy evening.
Nice.
Perfect.
That's awesome. Nice. It does look like you're covering quite a lot of ground around New Zealand, so it looks like you're going to have an absolute blast.
And
Chris.
then while you're in Dunedin, you can go to the Spates Ale House to try some lamb shank.
Yes.
There's another one to add to your list.
All right. Okay, what is Iguana Sloth having to say?
Iguana Sloth down here saying, woohoo, I'm 2 minutes behind on the stream. I'm so proud of the honor.
Hey, listen, just starting the day with a bit of an award is always a good thing.
Yeah.
We also have emoji guy that says hi dears, and there is a lot of emojis, including a brain and a heart.
And a bone.
What I'd like to know is that out of Laura now, who's the brain, who's the heart? We'd like to know that.
Yeah.
Please.
I don't
just
think
do
we'd
tell.
be offended if we were either one of those, to be fair.
Well, as long as I don't have the bone next to it, I'd be fine. Okay, so we have Rafaka that says, which best Indian restaurant in New Zealand? Ooh.
That is a tough one.
Laura
that is
does
a
like
really
good Indian
tough
food.
one.
Okay, so I'm just okay on Indian food. It's like, yeah, it's fine, but I'm not necessarily like the biggest fan of it. So I think I let Laura kind of give you maybe a top 2 or something like that.
I
Or
can't
2 that
even
she
give
would
you
like.
a top 2.
It's too heartbreaking for her. It's too heartbreaking. She can't.
No, well, the thing is, like, the Indian restaurants, there are a lot of Indian restaurants in New Zealand, but I come from the UK, so when I compare the Indian restaurants that they have in the UK, I mean, it's not going to be anything compared to the restaurants in India, but compared to the UK, New Zealand's sort of taste in Indian food is very sort of mild and basic. Like, it's like butter chicken is the highlight on the on most menus for Indian restaurants in New Zealand, and it's not really the tastiest of dishes in my opinion. So I don't really have a great sort of opinion of a best Indian restaurant in New Zealand, I'm afraid. Bombay Palace in Queenstown, it's a chain also in Wanaka and somewhere else. The reason I like it is because they usually have really good deals, and I love.
If you're about to have okay Indian food, may as well be cheap.
If you're about to have okay Indian food, then I do tend to like Bombay Palace. There is a good one on the waterfront of Lake Taupo in the town of Taupo. I do forget its name. Something like Indian Delights, something like that. So that's a good one as well. But hey, I'm sorry, I'm not. There are so many Indian restaurants around New Zealand, but I still haven't found that perfect one, I have to admit. So I'm sorry, Rafa Cat, I can't tell you which one I think is the best, because I'm still looking for it.
Wow. Wow, the quest continues.
The quest does continue, and I can't wait to try some more in this quest, but until I find...
Self-inflicted challenge. Oh, I've
know,
got to try
I
so
know.
much Indian food. Oh, no.
Yeah, until I find that perfect Indian restaurant, I don't want to give you any more, really, recommendations.
We actually are scheduled for an Indian food extravaganza in August, actually, so
yes,
here
we
you
are.
go.
One of our friends has suggested that he knows a really good Indian restaurant. We're gonna go with him to try it, and we'll let you know. We'll let you know where it is and how good it is.
It's going to be around the end of August, so so just
stick around, subscribe.
All right. Okay, where are we at? Clay says, don't do it, Amo. So still talking about the Clay diet.
The Clay diet, yeah.
The Clay diet. I've grown to like you, and I'd hate for you to have the health of a Dunedin scarfie. Oh my god. Chris is telling us, so he's doing an AAT King New Zealand Vista tour. So it's one of those big bus tours which are all organized, everything sorted out for you. It's like, it's peace of mind, the tour, you know. You just get to see the beautiful New Zealand. Everything's sorted out. It's kind of nice.
You'll have a lot of fun. That is a cool way to travel around New Zealand, is taking the bus tours and just letting someone else worry about the driving, and you get to just take it all in as you go around. Yeah, you'll have a lot of fun.
Baby Burn is like, sup guys? To be spent more than $50 per day per person is kind of too fancy, isn't it? Not really. We'll go over that, but it would be actually hard to make it under $50 per person unless you are cooking for yourself pretty much all the time. So yeah, it is not cheap to eat out in New Zealand, and we'll go over some of the prices around the end of the video, but that's a good reminder to everybody. Question of the day. Question of the day. Ooh, question of the day. Wow, this is the banger, guys. Honestly, I need a DJ right here. Okay, so the question of the day today is, how much are you planning on spending per person per day when traveling around New Zealand? I will stop this poll in 20 minutes because after that, I'm actually going to go over the menu of a very classic, basic kind of all-day restaurant in New Zealand, and we'll see kind of what kind of prices they have and how can we make it through with the budget that you have. And yeah, so that's gonna be quite interesting. So that's why I'm finishing it a little bit earlier today. So make sure that you vote. There is a poll in the live chat right now. Make sure everybody votes. What is Helen Wilkinson having to say?
Helen says, any recommendations for coach companies in Queenstown? Now, what sort of coach companies are we talking about, Helen? Are we talking about like day tours? Are we talking about going to Milford Sound or going to Glenorchy or Wanaka? Or are we talking about coach companies that maybe start a full South Island tour that perhaps start in Queenstown?
In that case, that'd be a challenge.
Oh yeah, I suppose at the moment it would be a challenge.
Yep.
But yeah. So yeah, give us more of a...
Yeah, we do need some context on this question to help.
Specific question for this one.
Clay says Radha's Indian restaurant in Tianau is great.
Okay,
here you go.
there we go.
That's a recommendation as well. It better be great. If we try it, Laura is going to be harshly judging it. As an English person, she feels like she owns India. So,
come on.
Oh, Alright, what is all you're having to say?
Oriel says, don't know about fancy, but we need to be sure spending way less than 50 per day per person if we want to survive. Yeah.
Yeah. We look at...
Yeah. I was going to say, plenty of self-catering in the mix, making your own meals is a way to achieve that.
If you make yourself your own breakfast and your own lunch, for example, and you just do dinner, but we'll go over that around the end of the video.
We'll talk about that
Make
extensively.
it work. Okay, Emoji Guy says, visit the visa on the 31st of July. Laura, is it when is the border opening? Laura, it's happening. Clay needs a bit of a shot right here.
All right, okay, so...
quick recap.
Yeah, quick recap for the borders fully opening to everyone. Anyone that needs to actually physically apply for a visitor visa or needs to apply for a work visa, etc. for coming to New Zealand, the borders will be fully open by midnight on the 31st. Midnight on the 31st of July. So essentially, from the beginning of August is when the borders are fully open to everyone for coming to New Zealand. So
and this
not
at that
long.
point, and that's at that point that you'll be able to start applying for all your visas and everything. Like a lot of residencies have opened before, and New Zealand immigration was swamped under way more application than they expected. They expected to have only 200,000 applications, and they got much more. So yeah, just all that thing. It's all gonna slowly restart again. Don't expect to literally be able to land in New Zealand on the 1st of August. That's going to be people that are planned way ahead. But, you know, everything is going to slowly restart around that time.
Clay is letting us know what a scarfie is. So he says, scarfie is a poor uni student. Correction, an Otago uni student who are poor because money goes on new couches and booze.
Yeah, well, if you stopped burning couches in Dunedin, then you wouldn't have to buy new ones.
Who needs a couch? When you're a student, you don't need a couch.
I think we need to start an encyclopedia of New Zealand slang by Clay.
Yes.
I feel like today you're really sorting us out right here. And
Yes.
Uni's University as well.
Yeah.
Okay, what is Baby Burns saying?
Baby Burns says, I think if you eat fancy Ferg burger 3 times a day, it's still under $50, isn't it?
Oh no, Ferg burgers are about $20 each.
They're about 18 to about 20.
No, they went up. I did notice they went up.
Okay, so they'll be really?
They're about $20 each.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And
3
some of them
times-
are actually even higher. I remember I got once that was 25.
I was gonna say it like at the beginning of the year they were about 18 to 29, $30 if you were going super fancy. So yeah, that still is, anywhere in between that is gonna still take you over the $50 mark. I don't know if they still do like the media. There's like you can get like smaller burgers.
Oh,
The
you
snacks-
gave me money, but you're still hungry.
Snack
The
size
price, yeah, that's great.
burgers.
That's great.
You could go for snack size burgers, or you could go next door to Ferg Baker and get yourself a pie instead. Then you'll be under the $50 mark, but maybe quite hungry.
Okay. Obelu Strawberry. Oh, I like that name too.
Yeah.
Need to come back next week. You get an award because I give an award for like the best username, but I already gave it away to this day. So you have to come back next week early on. Talk to us and then you get an award. Says, I can't drive. What's the best way to visit New Zealand? Can bus bring you to most places? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. There is really a lot of bus tours in New Zealand that can cater to any kind of style of travel that you are taking. For example, we have Chris in the chat right now, which is taking a bus around New Zealand from AAT Kings, which is kind of it's a little fancy, it's like they sort out all your meals and everything like that, but you also have really budget buses from litigious coach going from place A to place B, and then you go yourself to your own accommodation, do your own activities, or buses which are a bit of a hybrid in between that sort out some activities for you as well. There's really a lot. So one tip that I could give you if you want is to head to nzpocketguide.com. This is a site right here just next to me instead of Laura. Nobody wants to look at Laura. And then you're going to go to travel tips right here, and then transportation, and then you click on bus right here, and you will have a lot of articles that we prepared for you with the best bus tours, by the length of time that you want to spend in New Zealand, by type of budget, by type of travel that you will have. There's really a lot of information. We compare a lot of companies and we help you with budgeting and everything, and there's pages and pages of a full article that will really help you there. So I think if you start your research a little bit right here, you'll be absolutely quite impressed by the amount of options that you have in New Zealand. So if you want to head to the nzpocketguide.com website, then you click on travel tips, then transportation, then bus. Go ahead, do it right now while you listen to us talking, and you'll see that there is a lot of information for you. So I hope that's helpful to you. Strawberry, I'm gonna call you Strawberry from now on. So so check that out, and obviously the website is completely free for you to use. What is Lawrence saying? Lawrence Lecha.
Lawrence says, hello, Laura and Robin and everyone in the chat.
Oh, I like the fact you acknowledge everybody in the chat. They are
Yeah.
corporate. They are the third person right here.
Yes.
For sure. That's why they have about a third of the screen over there next to Laura.
Of course, yeah.
Yes.
That is what that is.
Extreme Talauta says Morena. What does Morena means, Laura?
It means good morning in the Maori language, Te Reo Maori.
Nice. Okay, Helen Wilkinson is clarifying a little bit of question, asking if there is any good coach bus companies in Queenstown, and she says she wants a coach tour for 4 to 5 days, hoping to go to Dunedin and Milford Sound.
Okay, so there's a few companies that were definitely operating pre-COVID. They may be merging a little bit together as the tourist numbers sort of get back up again. But I'm thinking, I don't know how old you are, Helen. If you're like, if you're in your 20s, then a good company, a fun company to go with would be Kiwi Experience or Stray. They have like small bus tours that do a little bit of a loop, including going to Milford Sound, giving you the option to go to Stewart Island if you want to, or you can stay on the bus and head to Invercargill, going through the Catlins, arriving in Dunedin, and then looping back round to Queenstown again. So look into Kiwi Experience and Stray if you are if you want to be with a more younger crowd, maybe mostly people in their 20s. another option, a really good option, is Head First Travel. Head First Travel, and sometimes some of those companies that I just mentioned, they'll merge with Head First Travel to take everybody on this trip around, depending on tourist numbers. But Head First Travel is another really good option, taking a very similar route where they go through the Catlins as well. So the Catlins is really good for, seeing wildlife.
She's 42 years old. So,
42.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'd say probably more the Head First Travel would be probably a better suit. So going to Milford Sound, doing the similar sort of trip around to Invercargill through the Catlins, where you get to see things like, penguins and sea lions and seals, and see natural attractions like waterfalls. That's a really awesome part of the country to visit. That is actually one of my favorite parts of the country to visit. And then you arrive in Dunedin, I think you get like maybe a day and a half to sort of experience Dunedin, and then head back to Queenstown to make a loop. So yeah, definitely look into Head First Travel as an option.
All right. So Chris says, I just checked the Ferg burger menu and the average price is around $17. Yeah, I agree. That's just for the burger, though. You don't get the fries. The fries another $7 on top of that. So this is why I said it always is above 20, right? So you just get the burger. That is it, right?
You don't need to get any fries with a Ferg burger.
That's not a meal then. That's not a meal.
Yeah. It's also worth going to Devil Burger. I think they might be a little bit cheaper.
That's our favorite, actually. We did post it on social media, like Litty last week or something. And I was saying we prefer Devil Burger than Ferg Burger, and they are like also like super fancy burgers and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rafa Cat says gas prices in the UK is going through the roof at £2 per litre. What is it like in New Zealand? At the moment, it's between 3 and 3.20 New Zealand dollars per litre. That's what it is at the moment. At least that's what it was yesterday when we were around the country.
It changes quite often now.
Strawberry says, thanks for the tips. You're very welcome, Strawberry. And Lawrence says, as you guys are in winter, what are some typical activities you will do at this time of the year? What is the weather like at the moment? So typical activity that we will do, we're having a very, very, very mild winter at the moment. So literally we're still going on hike and we're still doing all these kind of activities. But the local ski fields are, in the South Island, they're already opened. But in the North Island, where we are located, some of the local ski fields are about to open this or next weekend.
I think
next weekend.
Weekend.
Yeah, they're opening next weekend. So here you go. There's skiing and snowboarding over there. So yeah, that'll be the kind of thing that people do and things like that. What is the weather like at the moment, though, Laura?
So the weather it's in terms of like rainfall, because I think that's the major thing for most people is, you don't want to be out in the rain.
Am I going to get wet?
Yeah, it's on and off. So I think like at this time of the year, most people still do the outdoors activities, like, seeing natural attractions, doing a few walks here and there, doing jet boating tours. Most activities are still open during the winter season, except for there'll be a few things like canyoning or some whitewater rafting rivers might not be open during the winter, but for the most part, most outdoor activities are open, but you will need to sort of have a backup rainy day sort of activity if the weather is too horrendous to go out. So yeah, for the most part, people are still doing what they would normally do in New Zealand, but you may have to be like, okay, maybe we can't do that today, so we'll go to I don't know, go to this museum or go to maybe this like Maori show or something like that instead. So it is a good idea to have rainy day backups everywhere that you're going at this time of the year. Hot pools is a really good rainy day backup. That's still.
Sorry, do you like hot pools?
That's still very a very New Zealand thing to do. Yeah. So yeah, and you'll find that on nzpocketguide.com we have articles of the best things to do on a rainy day for most of the main towns, even the smaller towns around New Zealand. So so be sure to check that out to get your rainy day backups from nzpocketguide.com, because we do have quite a lot of suggestions.
Yes. All right, guys, I'm going to take a minute to tell you about Patreon. That's going to be really quick. There is a link in the description of this video where you can join us on Patreon. It's a great way to support all our hard work and start at only $5 per month, which is less than the price of a cup of coffee here in New Zealand. So you can definitely do it. That'd be really awesome. If you join us on Patreon, you get access to a ton of really amazing perks, such as, there's your name on the screen right now, which is always kind of cool to see your name on screen. But you get also our help to plan your itinerary. You get access to secret Facebook group where you can hang out with us all week long, and we chat about everything about New Zealand, and we help with itinerary and all that. You get an extra 1 hour live session every single week. So literally after this live session, we spend an extra hour with our Patreon. We play some games, and we even, dive deeper in some of the questions that we started talking about there. Plus, you get a ton of good karma. But anyway, jokes aside, there's really a lot of perks to get. So even if you are not sure if you want to actually spend the money just right now, just click on the link on Patreon, check it out, and see that there is really a lot to get out of it. And it's the beginning of the month, so if you sign up right now, you're not going to be charged until the 1st of next month. You get a free month. So here you go, and there is no commitment, by the way. You can cancel at any time. Here you go, join us on Patreon. That'd be awesome. Okay. All right, guys. So remember that there is the question of the day right now. We are going to cover the answer in depth this time. We are going to go over everything much more in depth. So do answer the question: how much money did you budget for your trip to New Zealand per person per day for food alone? Are you going to spend under $50, between 50 and 100, or over 100 New Zealand dollars per day on food? So make sure to vote right now. We have 24 votes, and yeah, so make sure to vote in about, let's say, about 5 minutes. I'm going to stop it and we'll dive in depth into the answer. What is Wendy having to say?
Wendy Irvine says, "Hi guys, I'm considering moving to NZ from the UK. Bear with." The chat just disappeared for a sec. Is it better to bring as little as possible, or is it worth bringing furniture and even a car due to the reduced choice and increased price of items in New Zealand? Well, obviously you're going to have to factor in the cost of bringing a whole
I think
container.
shipping a car to New Zealand is insane. It's costs so much money. Unless it's like an old vintage car which has really a really high value and everything. There is no point in doing that. It's just going to cost you way too much.
Yeah. I mean, this channel right here, we're more of experts in, travel in New Zealand, coming and visiting New Zealand. So we can't really give you in-depth ins and outs of the pros and cons of shipping containers from the UK to New Zealand. So
let's say we had some friends that just moved to New Zealand and they actually were waiting for the shipping container for like 3 months.
Yeah.
So they were furnitureless for over 3 months.
So we have a family actually we have some friends who are a family from the UK that literally did decide to go with the choice of shipping all their belongings from the UK to New Zealand, and but because of the wait time for that shipping container to come to New Zealand, they did obviously have to buy a lot of stuff to keep them going. You can find furnished housing in New Zealand, but there is obviously the issue of the housing being quite limited in New Zealand. There is a bit of a housing crisis happening where you have limited choices, having to pay a little bit more for furnished housing, which is obviously in high demand for rent at the moment. So yeah, I mean, that's what it's sort of a little bit of advice we can provide, give you a little bit of the situation here. But I think that coming to New Zealand and buying stuff once you're here is also definitely a valid option. So yeah, I guess you'll just have to go dive deep into your research and actually get some quotes from shipping companies, see if it's worth it. But otherwise, New Zealand is, there's a lot of stuff in New Zealand. There's a lot of, you won't struggle to find furniture. You won't struggle to find cars, like decent cars, unless, like Robin says, you're going for proper vintage.
Yeah, if you have like a collector kind of car and you won't be able to find it in New Zealand for sure, and you really want to keep it and all that, go nuts.
Yeah, most of what New Zealand has is like, exports from Japan, that sort of thing in terms of cars. So yeah, but
it turned out that it incurred a lot of costs for them to actually get all the furnitures here and everything. They were not that happy to import everything into New Zealand.
Depends how attached you are to your furniture as well.
Do you really like that kitchen cabinet of yours? Did you really love it?
Yeah, it might be worth, like selling your furniture back at home, and then there's plenty of choice when you get here, and you'll be able to probably go through the process of furnishing your house faster once you're in New Zealand compared to waiting for your shipping container to arrive.
Here you go. Lawrence Licia just joined us on Patreon.
Oh,
hey,
wow.
welcome on board. That's awesome. Make sure to join the Facebook group. There is a post right now that gives you the link for literally the next hour after that, or even on your Patreon page right now, there is a post that says next live session. If you click on there, you'll be able to join us for another hour hour after that. So yeah, pretty awesome. And there's going to be all yours. There's going to be a lot of stuff. So yeah, I will accept you as soon as I see it popping on my phone. All right, Wendy say thank you so much, very helpful. You're very welcome.
You're welcome.
Wendy. So yeah, plenty of those kind of good tips as well, so feel free to join us as well on Patreon if you want to. Clay says that was a strange first. There was an advert that just came to me to skip. Yes, YouTube start monetizing live videos, so sometimes it blinks on our screen. That's why Laura had an issue with reading Wendy's comment, and that means there is an advert coming on the screen. It's what YouTube does, but don't worry, for the Patreon live session they're not monetized, so that never pops in. But for the public live session, it is monetized live sessions. There is some ads here and there, and last week we made 84 cents out of our public live session, so here you go.
Thanks,
big
YouTube.
money. Big money. So whoop whoop, that's definitely worth spending an hour of work for 2 people in it. Okay, Clay saying Electric Kiwi has a deal at the moment, if you were curious. Oh, that's probably the ad that you got. It's kind of interesting. Where we are in New Zealand, we don't really have that much choices in power companies, so we always get the worst of all deals. It's kind of entertaining. Okay, Lawrence say done and done, so let me just check. I'm going to accept you. In the meantime, I'm going to close the question of the day. Laura, can you recap the question of the day, and then I'll click on close.
So the question of the day was, how much money did you budget for food per person per day for your trip in New Zealand? We had, shall I say the results?
Yeah, go for it. No, not the result.
Not the results.
Just the answers.
So the choices were under $50, 50 to 100 New Zealand dollars, or over 100 New Zealand dollars.
All right, you have 20 more seconds to vote. I'm about to close it. Well, 20 seconds done. That's okay.
That was a quick 20 seconds.
That was very quick 20 seconds. Okay, so it's closed. We're going to go over the result, and then I'm going to share my screen and show you some menu prices. Okay, so the answer was 65% of you want to spend less than $50 per day per person for food in New Zealand. 34% of you want to do between 50 and 100, and 0% want to spend over 100. So let me share my screen with you so we can go a little bit over as the prices of a very standard pub. So this is not sponsored by that pub. It's called Pub and Grub, and it's in Topo. It's one of those all-day pub that will serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I decided to go for that, so like that you have a little bit of understanding. Now, you will see some of the prices right here. The first thing I want to say is that yes, you can always go cheaper. The best way to go cheaper is to self-cater. Either you have a camper van that has a kitchen, you're more than welcome to be able to cook in there and save a ton of money. You can also go from hostel to hostels, and every hostel is equipped with a fully equipped kitchen where you can cook for yourself. So you shop at the supermarket, and then you're able to eat your own food. Good way to make sure that you reduce your bill. You could basically have your breakfast, that you make yourself in your accommodation, in your hostel or something like that. And then you can prepare your lunch while you make breakfast, and then you only eat out and treat yourself for dinner. That's a great way to save some money on food as well. Another thing is that you can eat literally Burger King every single day, lunch and dinner, breakfast, lunch and dinner, and that will be a little cheaper, but that won't fill you. It's just full of sugar, so maybe don't do that. So that's kind of like what we have in mind. But if you want to know a normal kind of pub in New Zealand, what it will cost, so we're going to look at brunch, which is basically breakfast to lunch. That's kind of like what brunch stands for. If you want a big breakfast that will have like bacon and sausage and hash browns and everything, that'll be about $23. If you just want smashed avocados, that would be $22. If you want the cheapest option that I found on the menu, it's eggs on toast, and that would be $13.90. So that's $14. Keep on going. If you want the waffles, that would be $16.50. So that'd be that'd be a little bit. I mean, waffles is pretty awesome. Okay, so let's say you're having the waffles. You're going like, but like, okay, that's gonna be $17 the waffles for breakfast. Treat yourself. You're on holiday. Why not? Then for lunch, we're not gonna go for the signature steaks and those kind of epic stuff. Maybe just for lunch, we're gonna go for a burger. So. The burgers are all served with fries, those one here, so it's all included. You have fries as well, and so they're all at $24. So you choose any of those, and they're all going to be $24. The burgers and the fries. So that's 17 plus 24. We are already at $41, and then we're going to go for dinner. So you have mains as well as platters that you may want to share, or the big steaks. So if you're on the steaks, they're all about between $30. This one is $30. The pub steak to the sticky pork ribs will be $36 right here. So you get between about $30 to $35 right here. If you want for the mains also, it's between 25. So fish and chunky fries, for example, basically fish and chips, that'd be $25. But if you want the fried chicken, it's $30. If you want New Zealand lamb shank that we were talking about today, that'd be $31. So something like that. And that'd be your main right here. So right now, if we were to just pick something average on all of those options, we'll be at around 85 New Zealand dollars. There is no drinks, there is no desserts, there is no extra little things right here. So that's just to give you an idea of like eating out in a restaurant in New Zealand. That's why one of the local that we have right here in the chat, Clay, was kind of making a few jokes and saying like, oh yeah, with $50 you just buy a couple of pies and you're already done. So that's another way. Also, you can go to the little bakeries and get yourself baked goods, for breakfast and lunch and just have a big dinner. You can absolutely do that as well. A pie in New Zealand will set you off about $5, for example, for a pie. That probably won't fill you straight up. You may want a couple or something like that, but and also something you don't have as much variety, and the salads on the side and the veggies and everything, so you may need to look a little bit at that. Now for the options right here, if I was to order right here, I'd definitely go for the waffle, and then I go for a burger, and then for dinner I probably wouldn't go for the fish and chips right here. The fish and chips, you want to go to a little shack, it's a bit more fun. You guys tempted me, I probably would go for the lamb shank. So here you go, that's my choice. I don't know if you wanted to hear it, but I wanted to give you my choice.
And then how much is that altogether?
Altogether it's about $85.
Yeah.
That was a little bit under 78 or something, I think.
Yeah.
But that was no drinks or anything like that. All right, so that's kind of giving you an understanding. I kind of like to give you some ideas of what you can expect when eating out.
I just like to add about actually the drinks is that in New Zealand, if you want tap water, usually there is always tap water available that is free. And how it's usually presented in New Zealand is that there'll be like a water station on the end of the bar or at the sort of like at a counter somewhere. In restaurants, and you just go up and help yourself. Usually if you ask for tap water, they kind of just point you in the direction of where the water is. Unless you're going to like a very more upscale restaurant, it's highly unlikely that they'll bring it to your table, or they'll just, they might just give you a big bottle of water and a few glasses. But yeah, just so you know that, drinks is again where you're going to be spending quite a lot if you are paying for drinks all the time. So yeah, there is the option to get tap water, which is safe to drink. There's nothing like, there's no need to buy bottled water or anything in New Zealand. It all comes from nice, clean springs and all filtered, etc., etc. So
yeah, I got a big sting with this. Actually, that pub that I was showing when ordering a drink last time.
So Robin had got a pitcher of beer for $40, which is not even a large pitcher.
It's about 3 pints.
It's about 3 pints of beer was like $40.
That was panhead beer, and
it's for like a craft beer. But yeah, so drinks is where you're gonna, you can easily end up spending quite a lot of money on drinks. So
way too much.
Just so you know, like tap water is a free option to go with your meal.
Very grumpy about it.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. What else do we have? Oh yeah, we have a question from Strawberry. She says, I'll be going to New Zealand for 3 weeks from the end of October to mid-November. How is the weather during that period? So one thing I want to show you again, Strawberry, I want to show you quickly the site, because if I do that for you in here on Travel Tips Essentials, we have New Zealand weathers. And if you go there, or even just simply just type November, because you'll be here for mostly November, just type November in the search bar up on top, and you have New Zealand November, which tells you a bit about activities and everything, but you also have the New Zealand weather in November, and we go through all that for you. But in short, it is going to be spring in New Zealand, so it's going to be really nice weather, still very changeable weather throughout the day, because it's New Zealand. There's always 4 seasons in one day, but you have all the different average temperatures right here in Celsius and Fahrenheit for you in all the different regions right here, the different weather pattern, the rainfalls and everything. But there's still going to be some rain. It's New Zealand. There's still rain all the time in the country. We even have a packing list right here, so you just go on NZ Pocket Guide, you type November, and that's the second article on the list. You'll have plenty of information right here for you. But in short, pretty nice weather. There is nothing to be too scared about when traveling in New Zealand at that time. But still, pack a rain jacket. It's New Zealand. The reason why the country is so green is because it rains a lot.
Clay is giving a tip that fish and chips is the key to go cheap. Most have Chinese dishes too.
Yeah, honestly, I always find like if it's a cheap fish and chip, usually it's actually quite good. Like if, as I say, if it's a truck or a shack, I say like a fish and chip shack. What do you say? Fish and chip shop, fish and chip shop. Yeah. So usually it's better like that. It's more authentic and it's more the New Zealand experience. So it's gonna be greasy, but it's gonna be damn good, and the amount of fries is gonna be way too big.
Yeah.
Actually, one key to save you money on food when you order fish and chips, you get 2 pieces of fish and just 1 portion of fries, and that's plenty enough for 2 people.
Yeah, usually with fish and chips, you can find portions big enough to share. There's like...
You can watch a video of us in Fitianga. So if you type Fitianga on YouTube, you type Fitianga and then NZ Pocket Guide, and you find a video of us stuffing ourselves with fish and chips, and maybe something silly happens as well. But yeah.
Yeah. All right.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
No. Oh yeah,
Yes,
with the yeah. I was just moving on to the next question from Strawberry saying, "What's a typical breakfast that locals have?" Well, if
no, I don't want to talk about it.
Locals in their home, not thinking about locals that that go out for breakfast, they would usually have something like Marmite on toast. And for those of you that don't know,
there's a video of Clay actually doing Marmite on Weet-Bix on the Facebook group just to upset me.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, Marmite it's a very like dark black spread, like a spread that it will be in the department of a supermarket where you'll usually find, jams, honeys, peanut butter, and then you'll have Marmite. It is thick like black tar. It's mainly yeast based. It's a very distinct flavor. If you want to buy a pot, go for a small pot, because the thing with Marmite is that you either love it or you hate it.
And you hate it.
If you don't want to commit to eating the whole pot, then definitely just go for the smallest pot option available. But yeah, that is a very common thing in New Zealand. A lot of people like Marmite on toast.
Clay, which is a local in Dunedin, says egg benny when it's not cereal, so egg benedicts. What we're having muesli with fruits and things like that. So it can be whatever you want.
There's common sort of cereals that New Zealanders have, which we talk about a lot on this channel, is Weet-Bix, which is kind of like these little squares of sort of wheaty cereal sort of stuck together. We even named our little mascot.
We didn't. I take no credit for that.
Our viewers came all together and voted for the name of our
banded
little
together against
Kiwi
me.
mascot,
That's the thing.
which was called Weet-Bix, because it is such a sort of like a national icon of cereals in New Zealand. So Weet-Bix is another option for breakfast food. But as Clay says, when it comes to sort of cooked food and when you go out for breakfast, usually a lot of New Zealanders like eggs Benedict, or eggs Benny as they like to say in Kiwi sort of slang.
Extreme Talota says, I just joined Patreon. Oh my gosh, I'm going to accept you in the group. Join the group as well. That's awesome. What else do we have? Clay is laughing. 3 pints of panhead for $40. Yes, I was very upset as well. I asked for a picture and he literally just poured that down and then said $40, and he had the whole picture, and I was not gutsy enough to say, wait a minute, can I get a cheap beer? What the hell is going on? Because panhead is more of a craft beer and it costs way too much, and I really still hate myself to this day. That is
if you want to go for a cheap pitcher of beer, go for a brand called Tui in New Zealand. That tends to be one of the cheapest sort of brands that you can get for beer. We have Lawrence saying, we might cross paths, Strawberry. I'll be there toward the end of your stay around November.
That's cool.
Onwards. Yeah, that would be cool if you crossed paths. We have the Lipika Sharma, traveling entrepreneur, saying, ONCD. What does that even mean?
Well, we'll see. It says, once the visitor visa open on the 31st of July, how likely do you think it will take, or I guess, how long it will take to process a tourist visa? Honestly, at the moment, they're swamped with work, so it's anyone's guess. Usually, they actually have on their website the typical processing time, but they still haven't updated that page just yet, so it's absolutely random guess. So sadly, I can't give you an answer because we do not know just yet.
Yeah.
Clay is welcoming Talauta to the Facebook group.
Strawberry says, hi, Lawrence.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Extreme Talauta to join the Facebook group, so like that I can accept him, and he also has the link for the next live session.
Chris also may be crossing paths with those guys, saying November 5th to the 21st is when I'll be visiting. So it seems like November time is a popular time for people coming.
Yeah, everybody's going to be there. That's fun.
Anthony says his signature phrase, saying stay safe, but I'm here till the end.
Nice.
We have then Chris saying Vegemite is awesome. I hate it I have it every morning. So Vegemite is sort of the the rival of Marmite.
No, it's as terrible as Marmite.
Vegemite is more popular in Australia.
No, it's
Marmite is more popular in New Zealand, but you can get both in New Zealand. Helen says, I love Marmite. So being from the UK, Marmite is also readily available in the UK. And so, yeah, Helen will probably have a lot of experience with that. And then Clay.
I love that Marmite. Seems to always make its way into the conversation every single week. Convo, by the way, is conversation. Literally, you're making a point to actually have a Kiwi word in every one of your sentences today, Clay. I love it. He says, even for Panhead, though, that's rude. Yeah, I know. That was quite upsetting. I was very upset about it. But to be fair, it seems to be where craft beer prices are going at the moment, which I find quite shocking. Amy Wright is here, and she said, are the roadside much different in the UK? So she's obviously asking Laura, which is from the UK. She said, we'll be renting a car when we visit.
They won't be much different from the UK. You'll understand, all the basic, speed signs, all that sort of thing. Maybe something that you haven't come across so often is one-way bridges. So in New Zealand, there are road signs for one-way bridges. There'll be, say which side of the road has priority. A little red bridge means that you don't have red arrow means you don't have priority, and the big black arrow or bridge, I think is
So if you see if the big black arrow is going in your direction, then that means that if you and another car is waiting on the one-way bridge, you get to go first. If the arrow is small and red, that means there is a car in front, do not engage the bridge, let them pass first. And then when there is no car waiting to pass, then it's your turn. So you don't have priority. Just know that. Aside from that, no, they're very European kind of style.
And when it comes to sort of corners, what you'll see a lot on some sharp corners, there's very winding roads in New Zealand, is that they'll have sort of a recommended speed limit for taking that corner. So if there is a sharp turn, there'll be a speed limit with some arrows sort of saying maybe 70 on this corner type thing. So that's another thing to keep in mind. But they're very self-explanatory, very easy to read. Yes.
Driving in New Zealand is not too hard. Just take it slow and make sure that you always drive only at the speed that you feel comfortable with, no matter how close and angry the guys behind look like. Your safety is more important than their anger. And no matter what, they're going to pass you just to stay behind a logging truck for hours. So it's nonsense.
As you can see, we have some deep dark experiences.
All right. Quickly, we're having the Lipsika that was telling you ONCD was just misspelling. They say as well, thank you. I'm planning to make it to New Zealand as soon as possible. And does seem safe for booking. Again, make sure you lodge your application quickly, and then you'll see what happens. Tamo says so many will come to New Zealand in November. That's cool. I think Tamo is coming in November as well. So I think you guys are all gonna band together, and you should just all start communicating together and hire a bus. Done and dusted. Done. Michael Stewart says, hey y'all, my mum and I are planning a trip to Wellington. Is there any good place to go? A couple of places you like in Wellington. Michael, you have to stop showing up at the end of the live session, right? The live session finishes now. It starts an hour ago. Okay, Zealandia is my favorite place to visit. Well, you can pick the next one. Zealandia is my favorite place to go in Wellington, just because there is a lot of wildlife to be seen right here, and it's kind of intriguing to have that much wildlife right in the center of New Zealand. It's a scenic reserve, and you'll be able to see some very unique New Zealand animals.
In the city centre, I'd recommend going to the Botanic Garden, even taking the cable car up from Lambton Quay up to the top of the Botanic Gardens, getting some good views of the city, and then having having a bit of a wander around the gardens. They're quite big. They're very different in landscapes and stuff. So that's a really cool, really cheap if you're going on the cable car, or free thing to do when you're going just through the gardens.
Another great thing to do in Wellington is to go to the Te Papa Museum. It's New Zealand's national museum. There is a ton of exhibits over there. It's entirely free to visit, and you'll be really impressed by the amount of things to see there. It will literally fill an entire day, and it's perfect since it's, I was about to say entirely indoor, but no, there's a small section which is called like New Zealand Bush exhibits, which is like, why would you even go there, travel around New Zealand and go see the bush? But yeah, so there is a small section of it which is outdoor, but 99.999% of it is is inside, and so that's perfect if it is raining. So make sure to have that in your bucket list.
Michael, I was just going to say, he says, okay, thanks, really appreciate it. Sorry I didn't come earlier.
That's a good, don't panic. I just wanted you to know, because that's a couple of times you show up super late, and I'm like, oh, come on, you're missing out. Another great thing to visit in Wellington is the Weta Studio. There is, this is where they made the special effect for many movies, such as District 9, Avatar, and I don't know, another one I can't come up with a name with. I don't know, just something with like orcs and hobbits. I don't know.
King Kong.
Yeah, King Kong. Yeah. This one, King Kong with orcs and hobbits.
Oh, the Lord of the Rings. And
oh
stuff,
yeah, that's what, did you not get it?
I was sorry. I was reading and I was just.
Anyway, so yeah, so you can go visit that. That's actually also really cool. But there's really a lot of things to do in Wellington. So if you head to nzpocketguide.com, it's entirely free. You type Wellington in the search bar and you'll be really impressed. Oh, even better, look at that. I'm showing the site once more. You go right here, destinations, North Island. Then you click on Wellington right here, and you have a complete guide to Wellington with so many articles. Everything you want to know about Wellington, Michael. You'll be so sorted. You can sit down with your mum, browse it, and start making the perfect itinerary. And then you can just, you know, enjoy your time in New Zealand. What is Adil having to say?
We have Adil saying, thank you very much to NZ Pocket Guide for another helpful, informative travel Q&A and show.
Nice.
We also have
You're very welcome, mate.
Lipika Shaman saying, yeah, thanks for the cool Q&A. Loving the travel community here. The nature seems so alive in New Zealand.
Yeah.
It really is.
Anthony Comstock says, you think they'll ever open up the underground market in Wellington again? I don't know. Like, that's the thing as well with, you know, they are doing... Oh, you went on screen, so you were reading stuff. Apologies for that, guys. Yeah, that's the thing. Because of there's new earthquake regulations, they have to close so many things. I'm not sure. It is going to be quite up in the air. Michael says, wow, very interesting. I love it. Lipika says, Hobbiton is on my list. That's on the list of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Samuel T say, hi, I arrive in Auckland the 3rd of September. I plan to spend spring/summer in the month. In the Mount. Yeah, so that's in Tauranga. He says, just wanted to say that you guys are awesome. Good idea for the summer in the Mount. Oh, well, I am awesome. I like it. Laura, you're awesome as well. Things to do in summer. Do you want to know things to do there? Well, definitely climb the mounts. Especially in summer, it's going to be chock full with locals. That's going to be quite nice.
Paddleboarding from, so there's Pilot Beach, which is on the inside of the peninsula there, and then paddleboarding around the mount onto the other side with the big main beach of Mount Maunganui. That's a really cool thing to do in summer as well. Yeah,
one of the best dolphin swimming experiences in New Zealand is to be found in Tauranga in summer, where instead of just dropping in the water and then, you know, you have dolphins coming around, what they do is that they drop you in the water behind the boat and you get like big bar of metal and you hold onto it and they travel at very low speed and the dolphins come and swim next to you. It's absolutely awesome. It's so unique. I absolutely love it.
Definitely look out for some markets. They'll have weekly markets going on in Mount Maunganui and over on the Tauranga side as well. So lots of opportunity to go and experience some local food. They usually have like live music, that sort of thing. And then they'll have the occasional extra event like food truck festivals. That's something that we actually have a video of us doing on the channel, going to the Tauranga Food Truck Festival with live music and stage and that sort of setup going on. So lots of free events happening in the city. So make sure to be look up what the upcoming summer events are going to be.
All right, and also there's plenty of awesome kayaking tours nearby. Okay, guys, we're going to try to wrap it up. We're already 6 minutes behind. You guys are keeping us live. We have to do the Patreon live session now. We have to go. Lawrence says, having the freedom to choose dates, no kids, and very flexible job in my case, November seems like the best time. I agree. I always say it's my favorite time. So yeah, December, January are more popular months. And hello, strawberry. I love it. Lawrence, you're making all the right choices. I love it. Extreme Teneta says, see you on the live.
Nice.
See you very soon. Amy Wright says, how much time should we allow to get used to the time difference? Will come from UK to Auckland. Thanks, guys. Literally just a day or two, that'd be fine. So just make sure that you have a mellow itinerary. But the one thing you need to know about jet lag, and we have a video on this channel and an article on the site about dealing with jet lag, that you have to force yourself to straight up start with the correct day. So if you land in New Zealand at 8 a.m. in the morning, you cannot go to bed until 9 or 10 at night. You have to keep yourself busy and keep acting.
Force yourself to stay
Otherwise,
awake.
if you start taking naps and everything, you're going to carry that jet lag for weeks.
Yes.
So make sure that you go straight in the correct rhythm. Even if you land in New Zealand at 9 p.m., you arrive at your accommodation at 10 and you are wired up and everything, you need to sleep, and the next day you need to have your alarm clock waking up at a normal time, like 7 a.m. or 8 a.m., whatever you usually know, wake up at. Really, 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 really important.
Yes, and we do have tips
So,
on
yeah.
NZ Pocket Guide on ways to deal with jet lag once you arrive in New Zealand. So make sure to check out our jet lag travel tips on nzpocketguide.com.
Amy says, sorry, I'll let you go now. Thanks. You're very welcome.
That's okay.
Listen, we'll be here at the same time next week. Every single week we do this live session. So you can join us then. The best way to be notified is to click the buttons below this video. I decided not to say this thing nonsense anymore. I just put it on screen from time to time and that's it. And also you can join us on Patreon. As I said, you get a free month right now. You're not going to be charged until next month, and even you can cancel anytime. You can even get a free Patreon now and cancel before the end of the month, and you don't even have to pay us. So you can join us on Patreon right now, and we do another hour. So like that, you have 2 hours of our time. So you two people, Extreme Talota and Lawrence, joined us today. So you may want to join the gang right now. Come over. Oh, the team. We decided on the word team actually this week.
Team, not
Yeah,
the gang.
you can
we're
join
a
the team, and join the team now. Join the team today, and we'll spend another hour together right now. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching this live session, guys. It was awesome. You guys had so many questions. I love it. You know, we're getting closer to getting people coming to travel in New Zealand again. That was really, really, really awesome. If you want to pick our brain 24/7, you can head to nzpocketguide.com. There is some videos coming this week, about New Zealand and about other places. And we'll see you next week at 8 a.m. New Zealand time. There is already the live session scheduled on the channel, so you can go there and subscribe. And Joey says, good day. You're right in time for the Patreon, mate. See you on the other session. Bye-bye, everybody.
See you next week, and thanks for joining us. Bye.